Rusty Starlands. Book 1. The Tree and the Kindling. Chapter 1. The Fate Passed by Kindling. Section 1. The Birth of the Starbearers. Night settled over Mars. Above its thin atmosphere, Phobos and Deimos hung in the depths of space like cold tears, distant and alone. Lynn Tharion sat by herself, outside the A-52 maintenance hatch. The faint halos of the twin moons traced a lonely outline around her. Her breathing was slow and careful, as though she feared waking the ancient silence that surrounded her. Yet deep within her memory, a heavier stillness was beginning to stir one tied to this red planet, to herself, and to a path paved with burning ideals and endless sacrifice. Born from Mars's unforgiving red soil, they came to call themselves Starbearers. The name carried a tragic sense of destiny, like a torch lit in barren ground, passed from one generation of pioneers to the next, stumbling and flickering, yet never willing to go out. More than a century ago, Earth launched the ambitious MET, Mars Ecological Transformation Initiative. By then, the widespread adoption of synthetic food and AI-driven medical systems had pushed Earth's population to an astonishing 20 billion. Average life expectancy rose with cheap nutrition and saturated healthcare. But the cost was a structural crisis humanity could not undo: irreversible mass unemployment. The majority survived only on social welfare, numbing endless days with injections of a cheap hallucinogen known as daydream serum. In time, they sank into what came to be called the disposable class. Then misfortune compounded itself. Earth's climate thresholds were crossed without mercy, triggering cascading ecological collapse. Every simulation projecting a sustainable human habitat ultimately converged on a single conclusion: the fourth planet of the solar system. Thus began the terraforming of Mars, its objective precise and ruthless, yet fueled by unquestionable ambition, to construct an entirely new closed ecological loop, to raise the towering sky-crowned trees through controversial technologies, to release greenhouse gases altered by molecular engineering, to melt the polar ice, foam lakes, and seed life itself. By rigorous scientific assessments, such a plan should have unfolded over millennia. Yet the Terran Concord, with unprecedented resolve, demanded visible results within a single century. Humanity had run out of time. Mars had to accelerate its evolution. And the Starbearers were the fruit born of this land, crushed beneath the colossal wheels of fate. The earliest Starbearers were descendants of Earth colonists who had purchased one-way tickets. One could only imagine the depth of despair that drove them to abandon their home world entirely, to cross 55 million kilometers over 300 days, and arrive on this desolate red terrain. They lived mostly within ecological habitats carved into underground lava tubes. Yet on rare occasions, clad in cumbersome protective suits, they would climb to the surface. Through their visors, they would gaze at the distant, blurred blue-grey planet hanging in the sky. In their eyes was no longer the sorrow of abandonment, but the fierce resolve of living embers sworn to ignite this red inferno into humanity's next beacon of civilization. Their descendants grew up in low gravity. Their bones and muscles were less dense, their lungs smaller, their bodies weaker yet better adapted to thin air and the omnipresent low-frequency hum. They absorbed and converted nutrients more efficiently than Earth-born humans ever could. From another perspective, it was less adaptation than reforging. They had become a different kind of being, humans symbiotic with Mars. And Mars was not merciful. Like its Roman name, Mars, it was a battlefield where only the most resilient warriors could survive. Even at the equator, daytime temperatures rarely climbed beyond the low teens Celsius. While the long nights plunged to hundreds of degrees below zero, the sheer contrast between day and night was enough to tear apart any structure without specialized reinforcement. More lethal still was the atmosphere, barely 1% the density of Earth's. It offered almost no protection from cosmic radiation or solar storms. Every exposure carried the risk of DNA damage and radiation-induced disease. Martian dust storms, due to the thin atmosphere, were less destructive than Earth storms at the same wind speed. Their terror lay elsewhere. They never stopped. With no vegetation to anchor the soil, red dust perpetually filled the air. Solar power efficiency dropped to abysmal levels, while conventional wind turbines suffered extreme mechanical erosion. Energy conversion rates were catastrophically low. High-risk nuclear power became nearly the only viable option. Mars's deep, beautiful red soil was no cradle of life. It was a barren desert, rich in perchlorates, powerful oxidizers, toxic to Earth-based organisms. Directly planting Earth crops was nearly impossible. The soil first had to be treated with specialized anaerobic microbial enzymes to break down the perchlorates, an expensive and time-consuming process that demanded another vanishingly scarce resource: water. Liquid water on Mars was rare enough to be measured in grams. Ancient riverbeds testified to a wetter past, but now bore only dry scars. Ice lay beneath the surface. Yet extracting and using it was prohibitively costly. Every drop of liquid water was worth its weight in gold. Under such conditions, reproduction itself became a monumental challenge. To sustain a population struggling to take root on an alien world, the social ethics of the Starbearers were forced to change. Early colonial ethics revised. The earliest Martian colonization was a venture lived shoulder to shoulder with death. Environmental brutality and technological limits made accidents commonplace. Countless pioneers fell like withered leaves scattered across red sand, and the average life expectancy of frontline laborers did not even reach 50 Earth years. This cold, inescapable reality compelled the colonies to abandon Earth's deeply ingrained traditions of marriage. In their place arose a starkly rational system known as the Genetic Stabilization Reproduction Protocol. In the dark red wilderness, emotional resonance and freedom of choice became luxuries beyond reach. Partnership was no longer a covenant of love, but a breeding contract, precisely assigned by the Martian Population Committee according to genetic diversity, psychological stability, and individual workload coefficients. To maximize the continuity of Martian humanity, family structures themselves were overturned. Earth's monogamy gave way to a rotational system optimized through genetic scheduling. Male and female guardians functioned like components in a precision machine, taking turns bearing reproductive responsibility. The right to reproduce was fully institutionalized and digitized, no different from oxygen quotas or energy allocations within the life support system. A cold, unquestionable directive embedded in Mars's resource governance. As the eldest daughter of the Tharion family, Lynn understood from the moment she learned to walk that Mars was a land without warmth. Survival was an endless calculation, precise down to every breath. Oxygen rationed by the fraction, calories weighed to the gram, life support filters serviced by the second. Every inhale carried an invisible cost. Every uncontrolled heartbeat was a luxury. One night, deep in the colony's sleep cycle, a low alarm began to hum. It was not shrill, only half a tone higher than the usual background drone. Awakened, Lynn padded barefoot across the cold metal floor and went straight to the infant bay. The indicator light on the air filter was shifting from bright green to a sickly amber. The system had not failed, but its efficiency was slipping. She was not yet 7 that year. Her narrow lungs had only just adapted to Mars's low pressure and thin oxygen. And yet, whenever the rotational parents were out on duty, the responsibility of watching over her younger siblings already fell to her alone. A faint metallic rust scent hung in the nursery. Her brother Emil lay curled on the inner bunk, his chest rising unevenly. The twin girls, Amphi and Zessa, sleeping in the middle and outer bunks, turned in sequence. A thick white fog instantly coated the inside of their masks. The filter's low hum now sounded less like machinery and more like a living thing struggling to bleed slowly. Lynn rose onto her toes. Parameters scrolled sluggishly across the control panel. Oxygen flow, -7%, circulation delay, backup filter, unavailable. By Starbearer standards, the readings were still within acceptable limits, which meant it was acceptable for children to grow slowly hypoxic, to help them adapt earlier to the planet. But Emil would likely not endure it. Born premature, the fact that he had survived this long was already considered a statistical anomaly. Lynn's gaze shifted to a line of cold text on the right side of the panel. Emergency oxygen voucher, 1. The filter's breathing grew heavier, more uneven. There was no time to hesitate. Her finger moved slowly across the touch interface. She cut the limited flow from the outer bunk and redirected it entirely to the inner one to Emil. The system accepted the command without objection. No warning of unauthorized operation appeared. Emil's breathing gradually steadied. Lynn slid down to sit against the bay wall. Her throat tightened as the lack of oxygen began to register. Condensation ran down the metal seams of the wall, pooling into a dark shadow on the floor. At the 13th minute, the child on the outer bunk, deprived of oxygen, let out a faint whimper. Lynn placed a hand on her shoulder, her voice so light it seemed to echo from a cave.
Just a little longer.
At the 15th minute, the system chimed clear and sharp. The backup module force reset. The indicator light returned to a stable green. The next morning, the rotational parents silently crossed the oxygen voucher off the ration ledger. There was no reprimand, no comfort. The mark was erased the way one deletes a redundant symbol. Lynn witnessed countless low-voiced arguments between her rotational parents in the dim, cramped living quarters. They were not born of love wearing thin, but of resource scarcity, a relentless hammer, striking already overburdened emotions again and again, until fractures spread and the next cold reassignment became inevitable. Before Lynn turned 15, her rotational parents had changed 3 times. Her original biological parents were long unaccounted for, their survival unknown. Compared to these parents who passed through like transients, it was her siblings, those who remained, that became her only true anchor on this frozen alien world. Their occasional bursts of childish laughter were like weak shafts of light leaking through cracks in solid stone, small, fragile, and unbearably precious. During daily food distribution, Lynn would carefully slip an extra mouthful to her frail brother. In the silent depths of night, she would move on bare feet to check whether the air filters in her younger sister's room were still running smoothly. These repetitive, unremarkable acts seemed no more than routine, yet they carried more weight than any oath or vow. Because on Mars, love was not a romantic poem, nor a bouquet of blooming flowers. It was the instinctive decision made again and again in moments where life hung in the balance, to yield what little chance of survival existed to someone else, even if it meant bearing greater pain and risk oneself. This was the world into which Lynn Tharion was born, a Martian colony where the low hum of life support filters echoed without end, where dried condensation stains clung to metal walls like silent laments. And beyond the windows stretched a red wasteland that swallowed every warm hope. And the only thing she could truly hold, the only thing she had to hold, was the heavy, unbreakable bond of blood she shared with her siblings, forged in an environment that allowed no other mercy.
We crossed the white plain under a red dead sky, boots full of ice and dust in our eyes. No roads back, only our footprints fade. The hulls behind us like bones in the shade. The dome lights dim, one by one, air gets thin and the math is done. Last oxygen, last oxygen. Who gets to breathe? Who stays in the dark? Last oxygen, last oxygen. Hold my hand while the cold comes in. The shelves are bare, the screens are